Welcome to my living room, and I hope you are having a fabulous start to your weekend because it is the end of the weekend. I have a few things I'm going to go over today, and the big one is that I'm really wanting to encourage those of you women out there who are seeking a sacred circle, Women in Wellness, 11 weeks starting on the 1st of June. I'm adjusting it according to who is able to join. We will meet once a week for 3 hours a day. And during that time, we will do yoga, breathwork, meditation, reflective, deep inner healing on our inner child. We will discuss what's coming up for us, what we're going through in the world, in our lives. It's a sacred space. It's going to be tailored to the people who join. And because these are the times when we need each other the most, that we've been isolated, we've been distanced, we've missed this human heart-to-heart connection, the humans in unity, which we need to bring back to save humanity. There's plenty of stuff going on in the world. You can stay in your fear factor, you can stay in your homes, but when it really boils down to it, what are you going to do to move forward? Everybody's going through something, and maybe you need that support, that knowing that you're held, that other people are going through the same things you're going through, that some of the fears you may have that come up for you aren't just in you, but in others too. We women especially, and men too, men need each other and women need each other. When we come together, we can be such a powerful support to find solutions and not be stuck in the complaining. And we've had plenty of time over this past year to complain and find things wrong. Now the question is, what is it you're willing to do to improve, to expand, to grow, to get past all that wasn't working and create the new so that you can thrive and not just survive? Because that's where most people are caught up and stuck, is they're still stuck in what wasn't working, instead of recognizing there's a new way to approach and to move forward, to grow and evolve. So I encourage you, reach out to me. 11 weeks. You're not only just going to have each other and me, we're going to be meeting online. It's a Women in Wellness online retreat where we get to meet one another. And imagine, these are going to be people you don't know unless you invite somebody else that you do know, where you get to kind of come in without someone expecting you to be somebody you've been in the past. So when we come together in a group of people who have never known us before, it's kind of refreshing, because then you realize, they don't have any preconceived ideas about you, that you can be seen for where you're at, for who you are in the now, instead of where you've been in the past. Because if you've ever done any type of workshop, joined a group, been around a bunch of new people, it's refreshing that they see you with fresh, brand new eyes, like a new person. They invite you in, they warm hugs and embrace. And that's what we all need right now, is we need to be with one another and know that we're safe to be who we are, to see another person also, to witness them, to hold them, gives that sense of importance, that sense of relevance, that you are essential, because each and every one of us plays a role in this life. There is nobody who isn't essential, that is not needed, because we're all serving one another, because that's how humans were meant to be, relating to one another, relaying information, communicating. The more we're together, the more we can grow and evolve. And so it's through relating to one another in humans in unity, bringing humanity back to the core, getting to the root of who we are, that we can find our own solace and healing. And when we join groups, there's such magic that occurs, especially sacred circles of women who have committed and dedicated their lives to reminding themselves that you are important, that you matter, because that's a commitment and dedication and devotion to you. And only you can do that. Nobody can tell you what you need to do. Nobody can tell you what works for you. And, if you've been following me long enough, I have promoted eating whole foods, plant-based, and eating food that is nourishing. But even more than that, the most important thing you'll ever do is when you get right in your mind, everything that goes in your mouth is that much more nourishing. That no matter what you put in your mouth, it always originates in the mind. If you're not right in the mind, it doesn't matter what goes in your mouth, because the mind is what's dictating. And as you've heard me say many a time again and again, and the truth is that the body is always telling on the mind. So wherever you're at physically, if you have pain, discomfort, blockages, tension, dis-ease, that's a reflection of what you're holding on to in your mind. The body is the best kinesiology, barometer. It is the best gauge of whatever's going on up in here. And when you're right in the mind, the body will be aligned, because the body is always responding to the mind. When we have a belief system, when we are so heavy and rigid and dogmatic in something, attached, right? Attachment, expectation, never questioning our own beliefs, holds us, keeps us stuck, keeps us rigid. And what that does is it hurts us from the inside out, because the body, it will react to the mind. It will tell you that doesn't align. But where is your attention? Because most people are caught up in the head. They're not listening to their body. They're not listening to the language, the body's wisdom that's always communicating. You have all the answers you need right here in this physical body. And the more you deny it, the more you create more pain and suffering. Because what you resist will persist, and it will lodge itself in your physical body. It's up to you to challenge yourself to, is that true? You can do muscle testing and you can learn, wow, I didn't even realize that's not true. It doesn't align with me. Because you can be so caught up in your head that you're out of touch with your body. Isn't that normal for a lot of people these days? They're just going through the motions. People are living from the neck up more than they are from the neck down. And this is a huge disconnect, is the body is out of alignment because the mind is not right. And again, where attention goes, energy flows. So whatever you're fixated on, whatever you're focusing on, it grows and grows. Even the stuff you dislike, even the things you don't want to own, the shadow side, the aspects about yourself you dislike, that's in you. The more you reject, abandon, deny yourself of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, the more it doesn't resonate with your body, the more it causes the dis-ease, the discomfort. You have to be willing to confront, be upfront with the mind so that your body can show you and align with truth. Because truth is something that can only be felt. Sure, I hear people say, well, you have to think about it. That's the problem. Because the heart will never lead you astray. It's the head that gets in the way. And the more you overthink things, anybody out there, I'm an overthinker. The more you overthink things, the more it gets you into trouble. The more it takes you out of your peace and into that chaos, into that realm of hungry, like vampire energy. Like we do that to ourselves, and then we also draw it in from others. Because where your vibration is, you're drawing that into you. You're drawing in that which you're rejecting or resisting. So think about the law of attraction. The one thing that wasn't taught in the law of attraction was that, yes, where attention goes, energy flows. Yes, what you want, you focus on it. But if you have a promoting mindset, you have a promoting belief, but then a demoting and contrary belief, it will take you away from that. It's like pulling this way and pulling that way, and you can't get ahead if you are resisting that which you claim you want. We can say what we want all day long, but if we don't feel worthy of receiving it, if we don't believe we can have it, it's pointless. It's a waste of energy and time. And again, the body will tell you. The body will tell you that you have been resisting this, that you have felt unworthy of receiving it. It's up to you to challenge that belief. It's up to you to confront whatever's going on within you. And the beauty of Women in Wellness and coming together for 11 weeks is every week we're going to work on something. We're going to shift and reset. We're going to rewrite our stories. We're going to reawaken that inner child. We're going to dance. We're going to speak. We're going to sing if you want to sing. We're going to get creative. We're going to draw. We're going to write guided poetry and meditation. Because each and every one of us needs to reawaken that aspect in us that has been hidden, diminished. We have to shine the light on what it is our soul wants to bring into this world, because our souls came in with a purpose. Our heads may think it knows, but the heart is the seat of the soul. So we're going to tap back in and we're going to reawaken that inner spark so that you know, this is what I desire to feel in this world. It may not be something so grandiose as you thought it may have been, or it may be something bigger than you realized. But until you dedicate and devote yourself to you and improving your life, we will just stay stuck, because this is what happens. We have to challenge to move forward. You know, growth comes from those periods of discomfort in our lives. Oftentimes, I know from myself, in my past, when I was at a certain level of, I'm done with this. I got so sick of my own shit, I chose to shift it. See, you can't shake yourself out of your own shit unless you're willing to move forward and to shift. You have to be willing to tell a different story. And we have to recognize the words that we're using in our mind, in our thoughts, as well as what comes out of our mouth and our actions as well. All of that contributes to the life we're leading. And, you know, everybody's shit shows. So whatever you're doing, people can see it, even if you can't. You can try to deceive yourself, but if it's showing through your body, it is visible to others around you. The question is whether or not you're ready and ready to commit to you, to make change, to shift. Because again, emotions are not who we are, but they drop in like clouds and they move in and out. It's when we attach to our emotions, they cause the biggest discomfort. Emotions are simply reactions to thoughts and stories we tell ourselves in our head. If you are so caught up in an emotion, you need to be willing to confront it, to sit with it, to feel it, to heal it. Go in the mirror, look at yourself and say, you know, I really feel like crap today. But I love myself for that, and I choose to feel that. When you own the feelings you're feeling and say, you know what, I am choosing to feel this, it doesn't linger as long. But the longer you attach to it, instead of actually sitting with it and resisting it instead, the longer it will linger. If you truly want to empower yourself, you'll own everything you're experiencing as a choice. That is your superpower. Because it's the choices we make in the moments we're making actions, thoughts, whatever. Whatever it is we're choosing can be chosen differently too. So maybe you notice, this is how I'm choosing to feel in this moment. And then you realize, you know what, I don't want to feel this way anymore. But because I chose to feel it, I can also choose to shift it, to change it. And we can go through different tools to go over ways to shift your emotions, to get out of your funk, right? Sometimes it's just a little bit of movement, because you don't even realize that emotions get lodged and your body holds on to them because you're not moving. And the physical body has to be moved to move energy through it. Emotions are energy in motion. They're meant to stay in motion. They're not supposed to be stuck. We're not meant to hold on to them. We're not meant to react to them. We're just to, oh, well, look at this. I'm feeling this. What is the message in this motion? What is it trying to bring me attention to? Bringing my attention to, oh, this memory popped up. Maybe it's time I confront that. Maybe it's time I realize that that's apparently held some power over me. I gave it my power because I'm still stuck in that story. But until you confront it, until you're willing to sit with it, it's going to linger longer. Especially when we choose to use a story that disempowers us. Because giving our power to a story all resides up in here. The stories that we create, they're all originating in the mind. Does it make it true? Does it make it real? That's something for you to sit with. The only reason a story is even true is because you decide it is or it isn't. You can also choose to recognize that we create our own illusions. Well, how does that serve us? Does it give us significance? Does it make us feel loved or important? Is it consistent? Is it like a good old friend? It sticks around and it shows up when you need it most. So much of what we're addicted to is mental activity. Belief systems are the biggest addiction that each and every one of us holds. And most people are willing to go to war over defending their own beliefs. Wouldn't you like to shift that up and change it up? Like, really get rid of that funk? Because I think it's time for change. And I think a lot of people are sick of their own shit. I could be wrong. But when you are somebody who goes seeking conflict outside of yourself, conscious or unconscious, because we all do it, you know, oh, I had a feeling in my gut that something bad was going to happen. Well, maybe you actually were part of that. Maybe you had that in your mind as a hidden intention and you didn't even realize it. Maybe you have the pattern of the negative Nancy always looking for something wrong. I used to be that person. Hey, you spot it, you got it. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't deny it. Don't deny yourself the ability to grow from what you may deem or label as a negative behavior or pattern. There is no negativity. It's how you label it that makes it good or bad. It's your choosing if you want it or don't. We all have things we're not quite that proud of, we're a little ashamed of, but we're not here to play the shame-blame game. In reality, when you have something you're ashamed of, that's just teaching you where you can improve. It's not meant for you to, wallow in misery over it or to beat yourself up over it. If anything, when you're in those spaces, recognizing, oh my gosh, I'm so ashamed, and you're blaming yourself, those are your biggest opportunities for growth, because that's showing you where you can improve, where you can make change, where you can shift the story and become the victor versus the victim. We are only the victim of our stories and circumstances based on choosing to be, especially when we make things about ourselves that have nothing to do with us. But when you shift out of the victimhood story and into the victor, look at that. It builds confidence. It builds inner trust. It builds that relationship to yourself that you're strong and solid and going, you know what, I own my shit. I'm good about this. I'm good with myself. I'm not going to let that shit hold power over me. I'm going to shift it in my power. Because when you own your shit, it doesn't own you. And nobody can hold it against you when you know you. That's where the manipulation and the things going on around the world are so easily taking people out of their power, because they don't even realize that their shit is owning them. That when you're triggered and your shadow comes up and you're unwilling to face your shadow, that's your opportunity to do better, to grow, to confront that which you may have been denying yourself all this time. It's real easy to turn around and say, well, they did this to me. Well, that's not taking personal responsibility for your emotions or how you responded. It's just pointing a finger out and you got three back. hey, listen, the three fingers have a lot to say about your assumption, your projection. You did this to me because I've been there, done that, and probably could do it again. When you spot it, you got it. You got to own the stuff you point fingers at in other people, because you wouldn't recognize what's in someone else unless it resided in you first. And that's not a blame or shame game either. That's owning your shit. Because when you own your shit, you can't be bought, you can't be manipulated. That's your superpower, recognizing it. And I'm not saying you have to go screaming from the rooftop saying, I have been a bad person in my life. That's nobody else's business but yours. That's up to you to evolve over, to overcome, to be that better person and recognize that, look at how far I've come. Look at where I've been. That's only for you to gauge and determine. There'll be people in your life that recognize your shifts and your changes, and they'll commend you on it, and they'll be impressed and maybe even ask you what your secret is. What are you doing that you look so radiant? You look youthful. You look vibrant. You look good. You look confident. There's something about you. That's up to you. Because when you, again, own every aspect of yourself and you don't just try to pick and choose between the good and the bad and denying yourself, you're that much more whole. And we're meant to be whole, not to be pieces. We're not here to walk around like missing parts, right? You can't just say, well, I don't like my leg or my arm, and then just get rid of it. That's what people do, is they choose these parts of themselves and want to highlight only those. But, without the dark, the light wouldn't be illuminated. And without the good or the bad, we wouldn't know the difference, because life is about duality. It's all about contrast. It's about comparing this to that. And we all do it. And when you're comparing, you're noticing the imbalance. That when you're in perfect harmony and you're neutral in yourself and those polarities don't even exist, because you are in the center. You can jump on a pendulum and you can be in the extreme happy or the extreme shit. It feels like crap. But when you are good and solid in your center and your knowing, neither one of them appears to even exist. They're just opposites to show you you're in balance. But they both equally deserve your celebration, your admiration, your gratitude, because they're exhibiting the other. When you choose one thing, you deny another. When you judge or discern, because there is a difference, we all have to make decisions. Hence why we have to discern this over that, or going to the left or to the right, or choosing this path or that path. That's called discernment. And we're oftentimes comparing ourselves to others, to situations that we've been in, experiences we've had, and not wanting to own the fact that we had to make a judgment, a discernment. Now, the way I use the word judgment is oftentimes judgment is pointing a finger at somebody and blaming or judging a person in a harmful, derogatory sense. Whereas discernment is, I have to make a choice right now. And I have to weigh my options. I have to consider where I've been. I have to tap into my body's wisdom and go, does this align with me? Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel right? I have to listen within. You can get caught up in here, and that can end up taking you out of the situation in a not so good way, or sometimes you get a crapshoot and you just get lucky that way. But when you tap into your body's wisdom and you, again, nobody can take you out of it because you're solid. You exude confidence, and it takes courage, even for the confident ones, even the ones of us that are, wow, how does she make it look so easy? Whatever, it's easy for her to say or him to say, what have you. You know what? Every moment takes courage to show up, to speak, to be in your authenticity, to be vulnerable. It takes so much courage. I have my days. Do you think that this is always easy? Earlier I was thinking I really want to do a video. I've been feeling like called to do a video for the past week, but sometimes it's timing. Sometimes I don't have the time that I want to devote, and I have a certain setting that I want to set up so that I'm not being interrupted, or I don't want to be rushed. We all have these conditions we like to have met. And then there's these moments like, well, I don't really feel like doing a video, but I feel the calling to do it. And I still show up and I do it. So you sometimes have to sit with that and go, am I beating myself up? Am I judging myself over this? And be forgiving and compassionate with yourself first, because that's where everything starts. If you're not being patient and compassionate with yourself, it's going to be really hard to extend that to others. It's going to be very difficult for others to recognize you being compassionate with them if you're not doing it for yourself. What we do for ourselves is actually something that ripples out to everyone else. So when you're doing the work for yourself, you are showing up, and sometimes, like I say, you got to sit in your shit, and it doesn't always feel that glamorous or beautiful, and it's like, ugh, it's crappy. I don't feel so great. I don't want to be here. Blah, 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 blah. The mind, the monkey mind, it'll go out crazy, and it'll come up with all sorts of can we just go run away, right? That's an easy one. Are you a runaway? I've been there too. It's easier to run away. Change your environment, change up your life. Because yes, it is very true that when you get out of your day-to-day mundane life, it's new, it's exciting, and everybody needs that shake up to wake up. But for some people, that's extremely out of their comfort zone. Some people don't like extreme change, where some of us do, because they prefer their comfort zone. And it's more difficult for them to get out of their comfort zone than it is to put themselves out in situations that are challenging and unfamiliar. So we have to kind of sit with whatever it is that is our challenge. What is our struggle? And how can I work through that? And that's a whole thing with the Women in Wellness that I invite you to join, because it's not going to happen overnight, but you got to take baby steps. You have to exercise the courage muscle. You got to move a little bit further ahead each time in those uncomfortable situations, because the more you do it, you'll find that it's not as bad as you think. And then you'll want to do it more. And that with consistency, with devotion and dedication, and to you knowing that, wow, that felt really good. It gives you that, you get a healthy dose of chemicals, the happy hormones, just through your actions, through your behaviors. You're changing your patterns. Every time you do something outside of your comfort zone, you're giving yourself this healthy dose of, it's like hugging each other, right? We don't need drugs to heal us or to make us happy or anything. In fact, as many of you who follow me, the breath is the most important thing you have. If you're doing breath work, breath of fire, Sitali pranayam, any type of breath work where you're oxygenating the brain, the blood, the organs, the body, the cells, that mindfulness and just practicing breathing, conscious breathing. And we're not talking about the breath that goes from here and up. We want the breath to go deep down into the pelvic floor. We want to expand. We want to open that heart and bring those shoulders down and back, because when your heart is open and your lungs, you can take in more oxygen, more prana, more life force. And that in itself, that's what keeps you alive. And that is what, it's better than coffee. If you're doing the proper breath work, you're getting better than coffee doses every single day. Making it a practice to consciously breathe, expand your aura, your magnetic field, improves your life. You can shift your mindset, your emotions. I mean, that's what meditation is really about, is becoming present. And the breath is the easiest, the quickest way to become present with where you're at, who you are, what you're feeling, what you're, like tapping into your senses. There's another one. Most people are so out of touch with their senses, they don't understand why they're so easily manipulated, caught off guard, in chronic stress, and touchy, irritable. That's because your motherboard, your nervous system is completely fried. If you're in constant chronic stress on a day-to-day basis, you have cortisol rushing, pulsing through your blood. That's aging you, first off. Second, it's what causes the stress and the dis-ease in your body is that fight or flight, freeze or fawn mode. And if you're constantly in that chronic stress, that's a trauma response. And we don't just do that. We learn that. It's a trauma response to a situation in your life. And again, whenever that's happening, that's because you're on a trigger. You're not confronting the root cause of why you're feeling the way you're feeling. You're not slowing down. You're not breathing properly. Sometimes it's a shallow breath. Sometimes it's such a short breath. It's like, or a mouth breathing even too. Those are some of the things that will cause you, also, there's all sorts of a list of things that you, if you have dis-ease in your mind and your body, are attributed to the chronic stress. But if you're not doing the work to confront it, to heal it, you're going to age yourself. You're going to cause your own dis-ease because everything starts up in the mind. Doesn't matter what you put in your body. Doesn't matter what environment you're in. That's all going to be a result of what's starting up in the head. You get right in the mind and everything aligns. You know, the thoughts that we have when we're consuming food, when we reach for the food, it reinforces the mood, and the mood reinforces the food. It's this vicious cycle. Self-sabotage. It's one of our self-sabotage. We all do it. Reach for something, you know, just go with it. Whatever. You know, my life is already crap. Might as well shovel some more junk in my face. And it's that type of mentality that if you're not even mindful that that's a pattern, an addiction, a lot of people, chronic stress, they're addicted to the adrenaline. They're addicted to the cortisol. And they don't even realize it because they're so stuck in it, living it from day to day. They don't know anything but it. And so when they don't have it, they seek out things to stimulate. Because that's what addiction is. It's seeking out stimulation for the senses that you've numbed out. Because when you numb the pain, you numb the joy. Whatever the trauma is you experienced in your life, you have been avoiding it as if it's going to come back and haunt you. And the only reason it does come back to haunt you is because you never felt it fully. And you have to be willing to feel it fully to heal it fully. And if you haven't resolved old traumas, they're just going to keep being triggered by people who come into your life. And those are just catalysts. They're just people there to help you because the trauma is at the surface. And if they trigger you, the trauma is saying, hey, come on, look at me. I need you. I need your attention. I know I need this. This needs to get resolved now. Please stop pushing me down like the big ball in the water where it keeps coming up in your face. These are all the things we're going to talk about in the Women in Wellness program. And I want you to understand that we all have a gift to serve in this world. We're not here just taking up space. Every single one of us, if you're feeling the call to improve, to do the self-improvement, personal development work, it's because you know you have a purpose. And maybe you don't know what that is, but I guarantee by the end of 11 weeks, you'll have a pretty good handle on who you are. And you'll feel guided in the direction you need to be headed, if you don't already. So, I want to share something because I put in the comments, emotions are not who we are. This past week, I did a guided meditation, and it turned into a poetry and a prose that just, as everything does, just channeled through me. And it was something that I myself have been struggling with. Growing pains. And I think a lot of us don't even realize when we're going through growing pains because major life change is always like death. Because when one thing ends and a new thing is coming to begin, that's a major life change. And change is like death. And we have to honor the mourning process and the transition. We have to be willing to recognize what it is it served us with, what the blessings and the gifts and even, the hardships. All of it serves. to appreciate, to have gratitude, to celebrate. These are the pieces of life most people take for granted or neglect. Like even the hard things, like, wow, I didn't realize how much that hurt me, how much I was going to miss that, how much I would mourn this person or that. And it needs to be honored because it's what allows us to appreciate life as a whole. You can't just have one without the other. It's great. Yes, celebration. I graduated from college. I was in the military. I got out of the military. All these different life events, we celebrate the good stuff. But since when have we stopped celebrating even the bad stuff? Like, what makes us think that that's any less relevant other than the fact that it didn't feel so good? There are people who celebrate those who pass because they understand that that person deserves to be celebrated, not mourned like, oh my gosh, attachment, I don't want to see them go. They celebrate them with all the beautiful memories and maybe even some of the crappy ones, because we're here to be celebrated, to celebrate, to love every moment. That's what makes life so rich. It's so precious, it's so powerful. It's here to enliven, enrich, in whatever form that takes. That even when we're struggling through the pain and the whole, I don't want to feel this, that's serving us into the next phase of, wow, I'm delighted and surprised, and life is showing up and just blessing me with these gifts. Because you were so willing to go through the grief, you might as well be willing to go through the pleasure, and vice versa. Because the pain serves up the pleasure and the pleasure serves up the pain. It's the cycle of life. We have to be more willing to own it all and embrace it and just appreciate that it's there for a purpose and not negate or deny any of it. So in this particular meditation that I did, that I'm going to read you the prose, the poetry that just poured out of me, sometimes I get a pain in my left breast. And the breasts, the heart center, are often around grief and loss. The pain of something that was very close to our heart, right? Receiving my value, my worth. Opening, motivation, dedication, struggle with movement, struggle with forward movement. How to? Exhausted and drained, confused to proceed, allowing and flowing, trusting and growing. Inspiration to overwhelm, desire deflated, sometimes feeling depleted, defeated. Stressed out, fired up and burned out, stagnant and stuck, unfolding new change. Growing pains. The pain and struggle I face and feel are real, because the mind senses the unfamiliar, unknown. I'm no longer the person I was. Now I'm the person I've always been, becoming. I didn't even know how this was unfolding as I was writing. It's just how it came out. But the truth about growing pains is that we go through all of these, it's a roller coaster ride. We go through emotions. We have highs, we have lows. We ebb, we flow, we get stuck. We're overwhelmed, but yet we're excited. It's all part of life, and it's beautiful. This beautiful chaos that unfolds for our pleasure and our delight. It's how we show up and respond to it, not how we resist and push it away. It's all there for us. It's all there for us. So no matter what pains or struggles you're facing, just know the fact that you're willing to face them and feel them, that's part of your growing pains. That's part of your life evolving and growing and expanding in your knowing. This is the beauty if we're willing to behold. The life is too short to get stuck in our own mental stronghold. Because that's what happens, is the mind thinks it's there to protect you It's there to serve you, but you have to learn to master your mind and not let the mind master you. That's why I say, if you own your shit won't own you. If you know your own thought process, you know your own beliefs, you know what you have for attachments and even addictions, that's part of the beauty. The awareness is the key. It's the integration that needs to come into the wisdom. We can amass tons of information. We can, read books and go to seminars and workshops, or listen to this one or listen to that one. We can repeat the same words that a guru or somebody we admire says. But what good is that if it's not actually something we've personally experienced and integrated into our own lives? That's not wisdom. You can be a know-it-all, but nothing to show for it. That's the point. And so there's a lot of us, I know when I was younger, when we're young, we just think we know it all. That's just natural. It's part of the hormones of our child are growing, are evolving. And some of us, we have a sense, and we can't put a finger on it. We can't necessarily explain to people why we know what we know. But this is the problem with society, isn't it? Prove it to me. Show me where you know that from. Why do you have to prove yourself? Other than the fact, if you recognize that this is part of the biggest problem, is that from the moment you're born, you're told that you were born with original sin. So therefore, you have to prove yourself worthy, prove yourself healthy, prove yourself enough and worthy of, prove yourself not guilty. You're constantly striving to prove yourself. And then our fellow humans are doing it to each other. Stop shooting on people. You need to do this because of what? It makes you feel more powerful because you commanded that I do that? Or you asked me a question? I don't even have to answer the question. There's such entitlement floating around right now because of the overreach, because of the inability to stand in your strength of knowing who you are, that you don't have to explain yourself to others. It takes a lot of courage to say, no, I have a standard, and this is my standard, and I'm accountable to me, not you. That just because you don't have standards, that you think you can poke and provoke me, and I need to react or respond to you the way you want me to, this isn't tapping into your knowing, your truth, your Satnam, as I say in Kundalini Yoga. Truth is your knowing. It's more important that you know thyself than someone else needing to know you and you proving yourself to them. We've gotten out of balance with this in the world. Yes, humans in unity equals humanity. Yes, we need to get together more. But choose your circles wisely. Are they lifting you up or trying to tear you down? What is it you want in your life to experience? What is it you want your legacy to be left? The stories told about you. Will you be on this side of history or that side of history? Powerful stuff. Whatever it is you want to experience in this life, it's up to you to choose and to step into it. Because each one of us has personal power. Nothing outside of us has power over us unless we're willing to give it. Unless we're willing to hand over or submit to something we claim is greater or more than us. That's old thinking. The old paradigms, the old patriarchy, the old systems are dismantling, dissolving. Stop fighting the old. The truth is you're here to create the new. And nobody needs to prove anything to anybody. Be a good human. Stop subscribing to labels or trying to put people in boxes or being fearful of people because they smile without anything on their face. Recognize that we're humans first and that we're here for each other. And that the small little group that tries to tell you what you need to do has no control over you. If you think that they're there to serve you, look within. Listen to your body's wisdom. Tap within. Feel that. Sit with that. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this real? This is where the body is always going to tell you the truth. There's a lot of fear-mongering going on right now. I don't want anybody to feel a victim to anything outside of themselves. The truth is it's within you. Everything you need is within you. And if you're willing and wanting to grow that more, tap into that more, join me. 11 weeks, June 1st. We're going to spend 11 weeks together, 3 hours a day. We're going to have a private Facebook group where we can share and speak amongst ourselves. It will be just the people in the group. We're going to be meeting for 3 hours. I'm going to be leading you through Kundalini Yoga and some meditations and some practices. We're going to have each other. And that's what we need right now, is we need each other more now than ever before. That if we're going to make change in the world, we need to be doing and starting on ourselves and in these smaller groups, because it ripples out. And when we come together in small groups, we're more powerful. You're going to find that other people are going to be able to say things that you're going, wow, I feel the same way. I didn't even realize that I felt that way until you said it. These groups are powerful, ladies. And if that doesn't work for you and you want to work with me one-on-one, I'm willing to do that too. Just send me a direct message, reach out to me, whatever works. I'm here for you. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Spread the message far and wide. If this resonates with you, share it. Those of you who are interested in joining the 11 weeks Women in Wellness together, each person you also refer and decides to do it too, you get a discount. And that just, if you get more than one person, you're going to get a certain amount of money off of the full program. But again, this is going to be powerful. I'm super excited because I know that every group, as I'm doing this, is going to have its own themes, its own, it's organic. And we're going to really shift some energy. We're really going to go deep, and you're going to feel it. I guarantee you that, because that's what this is all about. It's about feeling it to heal it. And if you're ready to take that jump, that leap into who you want to be, what it is you aspire and you know in your heart and soul is pulling, propelling you, you'll know this is right for you. Feel into your body. Recognize it. All right? So have an amazing evening. I love you all. So much love from my heart and soul. Be well, be safe. And take a walk out in nature. And hug a tree. Happy Tree Day. I love you very much.